Dole is British slang for the tiny little bit of money the government gives you when you're unemployed. The problem with the title Dole is that many Americans think it's either about Bob Dole or that it's about pineapples, and I do try to put them straight, unless of course they really want to read a book about Bob Dole or about pineapples, in which case I let it slide. When the 80s started being rediscovered and reinvented a couple of years ago, it was being presented as this really joyful, fun, lively, colourful time that was all about Cyndi Lauper and gelled hair and rah-rah skirts and Duran Duran. I was like, no, it wasn't like that, at least not in Britain. It was a bleak, awful, scary time where we were always broke and cold and shivering. I wanted to set the record straight, which I did. Ironically, I did end up writing a lot about Duran Duran and gelled hair and rah-rah skirts too, because that was the 80s. It was a time of extremes. The tagline to the book is Sex, Death and Baked Potatoes in Maggie's Britain. The sex part is easy to explain. There's lots of sex in Dole because I'm a great romantic and I also like sex. The death part, well, the sex and the death intertwine there because there's a sex murder in the book. The baked potatoes, you'll just have to read the book and find out. Suffice it to say that baked potatoes play a very serious and significant and symbolic role in my book, as they should in all books, in my opinion. Dole takes place in a horrible imaginary suburb of South London called Dipfield, which is sort of a microcosm of everything that was horrible about Britain in the 80s. And it's probably an unfair microcosm, but you know, that's fiction. My character Paolo wears makeup because he's a professional gender bender. He's also the lead singer of the appalling synthesizer group Fashion. Paolo is determined to become the next Boy George. Unfortunately, Paolo has no talent whatsoever. He also has no common sense. Not all of my characters in Dole are broke. In fact, I have a millionaire character. The megalomaniac West End composer Andre Lee Weston lives in Dipfield. Andre Lee Weston is not based on Andrew Lloyd Webber. Andre Lee Weston's collaborator is called Tim Lice, but he's not based on Andrew Lloyd Webber, not at all. There's a lot of politics in Dole because not only was the early 80s a very politicized time, but the action in the book actually takes place during a by-election. And so it sort of echoes what was happening all the time in 80s Britain. Oh, a by-election is, you know what, I'm not even sure what a by-election is. I've been very lucky because lots of 80s pop stars have endorsed Dole and said lovely things about it, apart from Adam Ant, who absolutely refused to endorse my book. I have no idea why, but it's very hurtful, because during the 80s when I was on the Dole, I spent an awful lot of my precious Dole check on Adam and the Ants records, Adam and the Ants t-shirts, Adam and the Ants posters. I really have no idea. If he ever brings out a comeback album and wants me to endorse it, I will. I loved Adam Ant. When I was signing on the Dole in the early 80s, I never imagined that I'd be writing a book with Margaret Thatcher on the cover. This is because I didn't want to be a writer, I wanted to be a pop star. We all did, and we all thought we could be pop stars, and we based this confidence on the fact that if Lamal could be a pop star, then we could be pop stars too. But more importantly, we had no idea we were living through such historic and iconic times. We really didn't. Margaret Thatcher, mass unemployment, Reagan, Brezhnev, the Falklands War, the miners' strike, and to a lesser extent, Buggles. Is Margaret Thatcher responsible for the current recession? Yes, I think she is, and possibly Spandau Ballet as well. I'm not sure how, but I feel they're responsible. Did I look as foolish as the characters in Dole in the 80s? No, absolutely not. Did I ever wear white jeans? No, never. I solve a Rubik's Cube? No, though not through lack of trying. I think I spent most of the 80s sitting cross-legged in front of a 3-bar electric fire in some bedsit trying to work out the Rubik's Cube. And I never did, but I'm very good at Pac-Man. I've been described as a cross between Orwell and Austen. It makes me feel really good. However, I don't know if the Austen in question was Jane Austen or Austin Powers, but you know, both are great.